Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll discuss how women tell each other not to be afraid of dying alone, why women don't want to have kids nowadays, and how women deceive themselves into thinking they always have countless options when that's not the case. We want to invite you to smash that like button and help us reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year to get our first plaque. That's the only support we ask from you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement, share your experience in the comments for any man who might need it. And without further introduction, let's get started.
If something is so great and so fulfilling, we wouldn't need to be convincing people of it. We wouldn't need to be convincing people that motherhood is the most fulfilling thing. We wouldn't be needing to convince people that a religion is the best route. And that shouldn't be done at the expense of somebody else's fear, using motherhood as fear to get somebody to do what they want. Well, if you don't have kids now, you're going to die alone. Well, if you're not a good person following this faith, you're going to go to hell. You shouldn't be convincing people from a point of fear to get them to believe what you think is powerful, what you think is fulfilling, what you think is right. You shouldn't have to convince people that these are the best things, because that would be inherently apparent if that were the truth. There wouldn't be massive ongoing investigations against a church, against an entire faith. There wouldn't be people like myself on here speaking out about the difficulties of motherhood if it was so amazing. We wouldn't have to be here forcing women to give birth if it wasn't so great. Good things should not need to be convincing. The right thing should not need to be convincing from a place of fear.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Good point. But you have a channel trying to convince women that they are happier single. Why is yours okay and others not? The beauty of this country is that everyone has the freedom to choose how they want to live, and honestly, nobody cares. Now, like any group, there will always be people trying to attract you to their side. In this case, this woman becomes a 40-year-old spinster without children. She will tell you all the benefits of that and how happy life is with a cat. Why wouldn't that be bad if there are several studies that prove women who don't marry or experience motherhood live empty and superficial lives? As she says, if something is satisfying, why try to convince more women to follow that path when they could share their lives with a man? Misery loves company.
If you, like me, get regular swarms of charmers coming into your comments to shout about who's going to look after you when you're old, listen up. I volunteer in the emergency and receiving departments of my local hospital, sit and chat to people who've got like long waits to be seen, to wait for test results, that kind of thing. So we keep them company, we get them newspapers, we get them cups of tea, that kind of thing. So I see pretty much everyone who is coming into hospital, and I've been doing this for the best part of a year now, which is why I can tell you for a solid gold fact, the vast majority of people are on their own. Of those who do have somebody with them, yeah, a decent chunk is partners or children, but not exclusively by any means. It is other family members, siblings, cousins, it's neighbours, it's friends, it's colleagues. At least 3 times I can think of someone has taken ill at work and a colleague has just come along with them and they're keeping them company. At least twice that I can think of, it was a stranger. Once an elderly man had taken ill in the street and a young man had seen him, phoned the ambulance, stayed with him. Hours later, he was still with him. And another time, this pair were just gorgeous. So an older lady had fallen getting off the bus and she'd probably broken her ankle. They were waiting on the x-rays coming back. And this young woman had been behind her. She was like maybe 20 or something. Had obviously seen her fall, phoned the ambulance, stayed with her. And then she was so funny telling the story of how the paramedics had obviously assumed they were together and were like, oh, are you going to come along? And she was like, I just said yes, and here I am. She was like, I'm committed now. I'm in this. You're never getting rid of me. I'm going nowhere till that x-ray comes back. I'm coming to your physio appointments. And this older lady who was the patient was lying there just absolutely crying with laughter. It was so beautiful. And even of those who don't have somebody with them, they're not alone either. They've got me. Hi. And the point of this is that we are often told the lie that the only relationships that matter, the only people who will ever be there in our times of need are partners and children, and that is simply not true on both fronts. The horror stories I can tell you of husbands dropping their wives off at the front door of the hospital and then leaving because the football's on. and children coming up to hospital to ask about their inheritance. I literally had this woman like calling me over going, "You tell him I'm no fucking dead yet." Now, none of this is to say don't get married, don't have kids, do whatever makes you happy, but don't do it out of a fear of being alone, because the fact is you're already not alone.
This woman is confusing kindness with responsibility. Kindness is when someone helps you if you have an accident. Kindness is when, like the story she tells, a woman stands in solidarity with another and accompanies her. That's where kindness ends. But it's different when the bill comes. That's where kindness ends because you were kind, not responsible. The only people who feel responsible for someone are their family. If my wife or children had an accident, I would be happy if someone was kind to them, but then they would call a family member to take care of the expenses. Who would they call? Their husband or father. That's why they always ask in the hospital if you have a family member to call. That's when you feel true loneliness, when there is no one who can offer real help. Saying that you have her is a fallacy. She is not helping you because she wants to be responsible for you, not even because she is kind. It's her job. If she wasn't getting paid for it, she would let you die in a chair. We see this daily with people who can no longer afford their medication or medical bills. Why aren't you attentive to them? Because that would be responsibility. You end up alone, without family, and worse, poor. That's the worst thing that can happen to you.
Are you wondering why you haven't met your person yet? Here are 4 things that are probably happening in your dating life right now that are holding you back from finding your person. If you don't know already, hi, I'm Gabby. I'm an online dating coach and I help women transform their dating lives, getting them back on track to find their actual soulmate. Reason number 1 why you may not be attracting your soulmate is because you are stuck on someone from the past, whether that be an ex, a situationship, whatever the case may be. You are stuck on someone and it is preventing you from attracting your soulmate into your life. This quote always kind of stuck with me. You can never attract something into your life that you want if you are stuck on something that is not serving you. Reason number 2 is that you believe that you're going to find better and you constantly have to shop around, you have to go on many dates, and there might be someone that you've dated that is absolutely perfect for you, but you're overlooking them because you feel like you can do better. The likelihood of someone checking every single one of your laundry list of boxes is very unlikely. I feel like today with all the social media, the apps, the dating apps, whatever, we've trained our minds to think so many more opportunities out there than there actually is. Reason number 3 is that you're hesitating to put yourself out there, whether that be hesitating to meet new people, hesitating to go on dates. You have to be in shape before you go on a first date, or you have to have a certain amount of money, or you always come up with an excuse in order to not date. Dating is a numbers game. You have to get out there and meet new people if you want to find the one. And the truth of the matter is that there's never going to be a perfect time. And reason number 4, people that romanticize relationships, like it has to be this perfect story of how you guys met. The dating apps tend to turn you off because it's not a romantic way of meeting someone. You tend to give up very easily in relationships because you think it's too much work. You don't think that relationships should have to take that much work. Let me know which one of you guys are in the comments. I'm actually really curious to see. And if you want any more dating advice, tips, whatever, check out the link in my bio.
She helps you find your soulmate, but she doesn't find hers. In other words, she's good at giving advice she doesn't apply. But I'll highlight something she said. You probably found that person but left them to look for someone better. This is true. Many times, dating apps sell women the idea that they have more options than they actually do. The other thing is that looking for a man based on a list, without really knowing them, is just a recipe for failure. There is no perfect man. Even the person who seems most perfect has some flaw. Women should stop looking for a man as if he were a product that meets the needs of their list. Instead, they should go out with the idea of getting to know the person because the best book isn't always the one with the best cover.
One of the things that I kind of wanted to mention that I didn't really talk about in the video that went kind of viral-ish was that it is not an easy decision to decide to not have kids, because at the end of the day, having kids is very personal, and especially as a woman, you will bear a lot of the burden of caring and taking care of the child, regardless of how well-wishing your parents are, your friends are. It is still a mostly female responsibility, and maybe it is selfish of me to decide that I didn't want to partake in that. But I just felt like at the end of the day, that was something that was a decision I had to make for myself. And I just wanted to post that video because I felt so alone in my struggle. And I was like, I would love to share that and make somebody else feel not afraid, not I mean, I'm still afraid. Am I gonna grow old? Like, am I going to mess up? Like, what am I gonna do in the nursing home when my kids don't come visit me? So yeah, no, I have fears. I don't even know if this is a good decision. I actually didn't even think that video would pop off. I was like, doesn't seem like good advice. I just felt like I just want to share my own fears. maybe I'm not alone in this.
Do you know why many women today don't want to have children? It's because they are sold the idea that everything will be bad. Women are told they will have to raise the children alone. Men will always leave them as single mothers, and they will have more financial obligations. This creates fear because fear makes people paralyzed and change their minds. It was different in the past when women had more community. Friends played with each other's children, or sisters did. This activated their maternal instincts, making them desire to get married and have their own families. But traditional values are looked down upon in modern women's society. There's always the narrative that they will be oppressed, or that having a man will make their life miserable, and that single women are the happiest in the world. This leads women to reach 35 or older and realize they were sadly deceived. The happiness they were promised by not having a family never came.
Your biggest fear should not be dying alone, being single. And if it is, I'm gonna give you a new fabulous fun fear to replace that fear with. Your biggest fear should be being with the wrong man. Literally, that should be your biggest fear. Being in a relationship with the wrong fucking person should be your biggest fear. Attaching yourself to a shitty ass man, attaching yourself to someone who doesn't love and support you, who doesn't care about you, who leaves you hanging, who keeps you guessing, who essentially doesn't show up, doesn't show out for you, and does nothing for you. He gives you breadcrumbs and he gives you the bare minimum. That right there should be so fucking terrifying to you. It will literally ruin your life. It should instill a type of fear in you, honestly, that you decide to make your life so full and amazing, regardless of whether you have a partner or not. So that way, any man that does come to you has absolutely no choice but to add to your life. Has to add. He has to add. He has to be matching what you're doing at the very least. At the very least. Baby, we want him to exceed, but at the very least, he's got to match that shit. Because if he doesn't, he's bringing stress, chaos, and bad vibes. We literally don't want that. Once you make your life so full and gorgeous and amazing with hobbies, with a great job if that's what you want, with great friends, with whatever you want, with literally whatever you want, you fill it up. You fill it up and you love yourself and you love your alone time and you know you are so solid in the knowing that you are an amazing person. Complete without a man. You are so content and secure in that. That should be the only goal of your life. That should literally be the only goal of your life, because you know that it would be the disservice of your life. It would be the disservice of your life to be with someone just to say that you're with someone. Just to say, yeah, that's my partner.
I can only say, who hurt you so much? See what I said about selling fear? It's what sells nowadays. First, let me describe life dating a Chad, a man who brings nothing to the table except his seed. That man will do everything you mentioned, but even so, you choose whether to let him into your life or not. Second, why assume that all women with a man are struggling? Today, in many families, the man is the financial provider, and sometimes the woman also works, creating a good dynamic. Just because you have a poor pattern in men doesn't mean all women do. Stop projecting your poor choices onto all men. Another thing, why is the discourse always that women deserve something? Why not say don't date men who don't put in the same effort you do in the relationship? Don't tell them not to accept the minimum. Why should a man give you something when he's just getting to know you? I didn't know that man was your dad who owed you something. These women who always think they deserve something are the same ones who bring nothing to the table. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. What do you think about women who end up alone in old age? What do you think is the main reason why women don't want to have a family? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from The Wall.